So in particular, I'm going to be asking about the higher expenditure due to the Department's responsibility for higher education, including delivery of the government's teaching profession scholarships election commitment, as listed about in the middle of page 167. Was the funding specifically for those scholarships provided from within existing departmental resources, or was that a budgeted deficit, or was something cut to pay for it, or was this new money to the budget?
It was new money to the budget.
Excellent, and presumably provided after last year's budget papers explaining why it's a significant movement.
That's right. It was assigned to someone else. Yeah, I think it's because it was assigned to a different agency first, and then it sort of tracked its way back to us, and that's why it looks like a movement.
Okay, thank you. Well, in relation to that promise to provide scholarships, you may recall last year I asked some questions. You weren't sure on the answers then, but I understand on the 21st of March there's been a press release confirming that there'll be 100 of the $5,000 scholarships rolled out each year. Yes. In the 4 categories as advertised. So I might ask some questions about them. How many scholarships will there be in each of the categories? High ATAR school leavers, men to study primary teaching, Aboriginal scholarships and women to teach STEM. Is it 25 each, or is it a specific target within each category?
So I recall now that it was initially given to education and then came over to us, which is why there was that movement. The agreement with universities is not a specific number in each category, but that no one category can have more than 50% of the scholarships in that year. That enables some flexibility in making sure that universities are able to select students who they consider to be of the right calibre and the right commitment. But it also means that they're required to offer across the scholarships and not just say give them all to the high ATAR students or all to an Aboriginal cohort. So
can I ask then, do I gather from that there's a specific number assigned to each university? And
yes,
if so, what is that number for each uni?
Oh, here we go. So what we have here is that there are 30 scholarships per year for the University of Adelaide and 35 each for the University of South Australia and for Flinders.
And will Aboriginal students be eligible to receive this new scholarship on top of the pre-existing Amy Levi scholarship?
Yes, there's no restriction on scholarship accumulation.
Is the scholarship a lump sum, or is it $1,250 per year, or some other mechanism? How is it to be delivered?
It's been done as a lump sum because it's really a recognition of the cost in starting a degree, and so that's what's been determined.
So when will the first scholarships be awarded, and
there's a bit of diversity here. Flinders hasn't offered for first semester but is offering for second semester.
This year or next year?
This year. The University of Adelaide hasn't provided an update as yet. They are required to, and they will, but I imagine they've been a little busy. And the University of South Australia has awarded 29 of their 35 scholarships already. Most of them will be... more will be happening, in the second semester if they have more applicants for First Nations, women in STEM or men in primary school teaching streams.
Can I clarify, the press release from the government was on the 21st of March. If you're saying UniSA has already awarded those scholarships, did UniSA have an application process before they awarded those scholarships, or did they identify pre-existing students who met the qualifications and were able to provide them with the $5,000 grants each?
For University of South Australia, they did indeed give to students who'd already enrolled, most of whom had applied for other scholarships, so they were able to add to the numbers that they could say yes to.
Can I ask, if UniSA has given scholarships at the beginning of this year and Flinders second semester this year, Adelaide presumably at some stage this year, if we're talking about 4-year teaching degrees for all of them, then these students are not going to finish their work until 2027. Given the government's provided it as a one-off grant at the beginning of their studies, what process does the government propose to undertake to assess the effectiveness or the merit of this program going forward? I'm particularly thinking about students that don't make it the distance of the 4 years.
Just a bit more refinement. So the universities are required to report each year and won't receive the next year's allocation until they've reported. So I'm sure the University of Adelaide will be sorting itself out very soon. It probably has given
Good
scholarships.
incentive.
It's just we don't actually have the report to give you right now, but I'm sure that will be resolved very easily. So if they don't allocate some, they're able to keep that for the following round, so that they're not just giving out scholarships if they don't feel that they've had enough quality applicants. But we are otherwise being reasonably understanding that students' lives are complicated and that in some cases the students won't finish, and we've attempted to assist them in the commencement. The universities are very adept at managing scholarship programs and understanding about ways in which they connect with students and support those that they believe are the ones that are likely to be successful. But we have a reasonably light touch from that perspective.
My last question, sir, in relation to this, given that the next round presumably applies for students starting their studies the 2024 year, will the government be expecting the universities have an open call for applications for these scholarships going forward?
Yes, and in fact I should have added with the University of South Australia, even though they used mostly students who'd already applied for other scholarships, they also did an open call, and we would expect that will occur.
Later this year, presumably.
The allotted time having expired, I declare the